Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So today we're talking about YellowJackets episode 7. Before we go into it, I do want to say about like 3 things. First, I want to acknowledge the new camera I got. I hope you guys enjoy the higher quality. I'm still trying to fix everything out with the lighting, and I just got this camera yesterday, so if it's not perfect, just give me some time to perfect it. The second thing I want to say is that I do want to put out this video a lot earlier. I watch YellowJackets through Hulu. I don't know how you guys watch it. I have the Showtime Hulu package. And for some reason, at 12 a.m. on Sunday, the episode didn't drop on Hulu. Instead, I got this screen. I made a quick little post about it. I got some answers about it. How EXP Wednesday is supposed to mean that it expires Wednesday. But like now, by the time I'm recording this, episode 7 is now up. So I don't know why it took them so long to put it up. Someone else also helped me and said that Amazon Prime had it early. That's how I was able to watch it now. But it was really weird how Hulu didn't have it, and I didn't know where else to watch it. So that's why this video is a little bit late. And then the third thing I want to point out is that there's a new movie on Netflix called Don't Look Up. Misty, Christina Ricci, who plays Misty in the show, and Melanie Linsky, who plays Shauna, they're both in it. Shauna has a big role in it. She's got, big scenes with Leonardo DiCaprio, Jennifer Lawrence, Timothy Chalamet. She's really good in it. Misty only has like 1 scene in it. They should have used Christina Ricci more. But it was a fun movie, and if you guys, support these actors in YellowJackets and you want to see what these actors are doing and some of the other things that they're in, might as well check it out. That was pretty good. But all that being said, let's finally take a look at what may have been the best episode of YellowJackets yet. Like always, make sure to hit that like button if you guys have been enjoying this. Please make sure to subscribe if you're new. And let's go into episode 7 titled No Compass. So this episode begins with Taissa, where we left off with her last time, right? We figured out that she is doing stuff without really knowing it. She's going through sleepwalking, acting really crazy in her adult life, right? So we start off from there. She's just getting out of that trance she was in. She's washing her hands. She's bandaging herself up. She gets a text from Nat telling her to hurry up since they're supposed to meet the person who is behind everything at 2 a.m. to give them the money where they plan on tracking that person. Eventually, Taissa gets to the meetup place where she meets Nat and Shauna, who are already there. They have the $50,000 and they put it in a bag, and they plan to put the tracker in there, but they realize that the person's probably going to see the tracker once they count all the money. So they put a bunch of other trinkets in there to hide the tracker so the person doesn't know that they're being tracked. So now they go forward with their plan. They decide to put the bag in a clothing donation box where the person will come and pick it up. Nat drops off the bag, and then she meets up with Taissa and Shauna waiting in the car around the corner, and they plan to wait there until the person comes pick up the bag. They decide to have a couple of drinks while in the car. Eventually they see the bag start to move, right? They see the tracker, they see it starts moving. Nat sort of just jumps the gun and gets out of the car and decides to confront the driver right away. It's the clothing donation driver. This guy has nothing to do with anything. He doesn't even know what's going on. While she's sort of interrogating him, the real culprit, the real person, is in the back taking the bag, and this leads to like this crazy foot chase. So the foot chase leads to the guy getting in the car, and he's about to drive away. Nat points the gun at the guy planning to shoot him, but Taissa stops him, and the bullet like ricochets off the pavement. And Nat says that she wasn't planning on killing him. Maybe she was trying to aim for the tires or something like that. So one big theory, if you guys want to start coming down in the comments below, is who could this guy be? Or girl, even though I do think it's a guy. And we'll talk about more theories with this guy and how he might play into everything else later. But let's continue with the recap first. So they lose out on this guy, right? He's able to get away. This leads to a little bit of argument in the car between the 3 of them. Nat sort of goes on about how she wears her emotions on her sleeves, and how Taissa and Shauna are just better at hiding their problems. And that's pretty like the gist of that whole conversation there. And so now back to Misty in present time, what seems to be everyone's favorite character, Misty. She has Jessica, the reporter, tied up in the basement, right, in the bed. She's sort of confronting Jessica, saying that she's the one that killed Travis. She's the one that's been blackmailing all of them. She's the one that's behind everything. Misty thinks that Jessica is the one who's doing all this to them. Jessica sort of chuckles at this and reveals her truth. So Jessica reveals that Ty hired her. We already knew all this to keep an eye on the people that survived the wilderness, to make sure that they didn't talk about anything that would ruin her campaign. We already knew that Ty hired Jessica, so this wasn't any new information for us. Jessica also confirms that Travis was indeed murdered, which was another thing that I think we all kind of knew, but she sort of confirms it, but she doesn't tell us how she knows or who murdered him. And Misty doesn't really seem to be believing her. Jessica even offers to team up. They team up to try to figure this all out. Misty just sort of like slaps her in the face and would rather torture her than actually team up with her to figure it all out. So the torture doesn't really last that long. Jessica reveals, this is a big piece of information, she reveals that Travis's bank account was closed after he died. This obviously means that someone other than Travis emptied out his bank account. So whoever killed Travis also is the one who has that money from Travis's account. Now, I think this is maybe the most important information in this episode. We will talk about this money and what, that means later on, but let's continue with the recap. So now let's head back to the woods. We're heading back to 1996, and we see the group trying to figure out what they plan to do next. Taissa doesn't want to wait for winter. She doesn't want to wait to starve. She wants to go out, to find means to survive. They don't allow Taissa to take a gun, but Jackie does allow her to take a flare gun instead, which, as we'll see by the end of this episode, is pretty important to why. Well, I don't want to. I mean, everyone knows what happened at the end, but we'll get to it after. But let's just say that Jackie doesn't give her a gun, but lets her use a flare gun, and that's going to be very important for later on in this episode. And so after this, we get this cool scene where Ty, cuts all her hair. She's going to, full survival mode. Vaughn decides to... Is it Van or Vaughn? I think it's Van, right? Or Vaughn? Whatever. Van decides to... I think I like Vaughn better. Vaughn decides to go along with Taissa. This sort of inspires a bunch of other girls to follow with them. And they plan to go out in the wilderness to find some food or whatever very soon. While this is sort of going on, we get another awkward sexual encounter between Travis and Nat. They want to bang, but Travis is all awkward again, he doesn't know what to do. He's very anxious. This pretty much just leads to him, pulling up his pants, and he leaves, and they don't do anything. And so now, right before Taissa's group is about to leave, we get a really cool, important supernatural scene between Lottie and Van. It's going to annoy me between Vaughn and Van. I already know it. So Lottie tells Van about her dreams. And Lottie says that she sees, I think, a river of blood and red smoke. Lottie's not going to go with them, but she gives Vaughn a hug and wishes them well. And so now with this looming over this whole group, they go out into the wilderness. This leads them to, I think they see the river of blood. Vaughn starts to sort of question, maybe Lottie was right, all this stuff. I think Lottie also gives her that necklace, right, that we've talked about. And I think you guys had a bunch of theories that I sort of over-glanced. I'm not gonna lie. I was like, I don't think that necklace is that important. But as we'll see, it's probably gonna be pretty damn important. Lottie gives her the necklace, and Vaughn's wearing it, and it's like the I don't know what it is, like a bone, right? What is that? But whatever. She thinks maybe Lottie is true. Thais is what do you think? This whole woods supernatural stuff is real. You sound crazy. This leads to them going until it gets dark. They plan on sleeping overnight, obviously in the woods, as Taissa takes watch. We hear some wolves howl, which is obviously a foreshadowing of what's to come. And it also is not symbolism, but it's a motif to what we've seen in Taissa in the present, how she's seen wolves as well in that present time with her hallucinations and her visions. Oh, and then one thing I forgot about the Blood River scene is that the compass also starts to act out of control, which is also, the name of the episode is Null Compass, which is why it's definitely a reference to this part here where the compass starts to, freak out. And they think it's also connected to Lottie's visions. So that night, as Taissa is on watch, the group gets attacked by a bunch of wolves. We see some CGI wolves, which I thought was pretty good. For a TV show, we're not expecting some big budget CGI being used. So I think for this show, it looked pretty good. And so Taissa jumps down from her her watching post from the tree. She sees Vaughn getting dragged by a wolf. She grabs she shoots the flare gun first, thinking okay, so if she had the gun, if she was allowed to take a gun, maybe she could have saved Vaughn's life. And I think that's going to play into, when she returns back to the group, she gets mad at Jackie. Maybe something happens there. But she only has the flare gun because that's all she was allowed from Jackie. So she shoots the flare gun. It does nothing. So she grabs an axe and she pretty much just mauls the wolf to death, just hacks at it and kills it. When she turns Vaughn over, she sees that Vaughn has a big chunk taken out of her face, which pretty much, she's dead. I don't think she's alive, right? She's definitely dead. And it's a pretty upsetting, crazy scene. So now in the middle of all these storylines, I know I always jump around with YellowJackets. I always go through the different storylines in every episode, So now let's get to Shauna and Jackie's storyline in the past 1996. Jackie confronts Shauna about her pregnancy, about what happened. Shauna lies to her and says that it was about some guy named Randy who knocked her up after like one night. Shauna says the night of some party, but the thing is that she sort of messed up here because that night of the party, Jackie actually drove Randy home. So this is where this plants some doubt into Jackie's mind about what Shauna is saying. So Shauna sort of knows that Jackie probably suspects something is wrong or something's weird is going on. So she hides her journal up in the attic. But that night, Jackie finds the journal anyway. We see her reading it in the woods. She's crying, obviously very emotional about what she's reading because it probably reveals that Shauna, was banging Jeff behind Jackie's back. So this will all, come into something into next episode. But it's pretty crazy to see Jackie finally know the truth about Shauna, and I'm actually really excited to see how it all shakes out in the past, because who knows how they're both going to react or what's going to happen. And so I think with that, that's all I want to, those are the big things for this episode I really wanted to cover. Some other things was Nat with Kevin, how they bang, and the next morning Kevin wakes up to find that Nat used his gun, and so he gets all mad, and like that relationship is sort of like done now, as Nat says that they were just banging, and Kevin didn't want to Kevin thought it was something real there, where Nat didn't. Where I think Nat does have some feeling for him, but maybe she doesn't want to show it. And then also another banging scene. We get Shauna after the whole bag scene with chasing down the guy in the present time. She goes back home to find Adam there, and they bang, and then Adam hides in the closet as Jeff comes home, and then Jeff takes a shower and Adam leaves. Right? I didn't think that was too important either. So my little rating for this episode is a 3.9 out of 5. I do think it was the best episode yet. We got so much answered, especially with the past and the wolves. Really great ending for this episode. It was like high tension, exciting to watch, suspenseful. Seeing Lottie's visions come into fruition was so crazy because the show's going full supernatural now with all this stuff, and to see the origins of Thaisa's visions from the present, and that she's still haunted by these wolves that killed her lover from the past. Some really strong stuff. A lot of questions answered there. I thought that was really cool. Also finally got to see Jackie's reaction to finding out that Shauna and Jeff, had something behind her back. And this could be where we see, factions starting to come into, like, who's, like, Jackie and Shauna will probably, argue or anything like that. It could lead to something crazy, like one of them killing each other maybe by accident, like they're that angry. I don't think so, obviously, but Shauna maybe could kill Jackie in that moment over like an accident as they fight. I don't think so, but I think that they won't be able to stay in the same cabin or area together. Like how are they going to like continue to interact with each other? I just don't see that happening. So I think maybe this is where the two groups could like branch off, or maybe a couple of groups. Maybe Thaisa stays out in the woods for a while and thinks they should keep going on, while back at the cabin, they start to separate as well, and now you have like 3 groups all over the place. Maybe that could happen. And maybe this could lead to, why they're all being hunted, as we saw in the first episode, that the previews of what's to come, right? We see them like hunting each other, like hunting things. Like maybe it's because, they all separate into different groups, and that, it's been so long that they don't even know who's who or whatever, that they start hunting each other down. I don't know. All right, but let's get it down into the nitty gritty of this. There's so many theories to throw out there. I think we learned a lot, and I know you guys are gonna have a lot of good theories. So one thing I want to say is that I know I was a big like Misty advocate for her being the big bad. That's obviously not the case anymore. I mean, the show is throwing it at us, trying to make it seem like it was Misty. But I think now with this episode, I think you guys are right. Most of you guys saying that Misty is just trying to just figure stuff out in her own little weird way. She's not the brains behind all this. And so that being said, let's talk about that information with the bank, right? That someone took out money. And so I think that bank account thing was like really important, but I just don't know right now like how it plays into like everything. Like not yet, but that's going to come back in some way. In terms of the guy or the girl, I'm sure it was a guy with the black mask who took that money. I think he was just a gun for hire, or it could be Jeff. It could be Shauna's husband, Jeff. In that scene where Shauna and where Adam's hiding in the closet, right, the next morning, and Jeff comes in late, and he says that it was after a rough night of working. Maybe he wasn't working. Maybe he's sketchy. He's doing something. Who's to say he's not the person in the black mask and he's the one that's blackmailing all of them. For what reason? This is where I have a theory that I think Jackie's alive still in the present day, and maybe Jeff and Jackie are working together. You know, I don't know. I don't know. Like, why though? Like, it's so many questions that I'm just not sure. But like, why would Jeff be like behind all this? Like, for what game could he be playing? I think someone else is at hand. I think someone else from the island is back, and I think it's Jackie. I feel like maybe Jackie's definitely involved in this. Maybe that guy could not be Jeff. Maybe he's just like a gun for hire. Maybe Jackie or someone just hired that guy. I was like, hey, I need you to go to this clothing donation place, get this bag of money. I can't tell you why. I'll give you whatever amount of money, and you bring it back to me. Like, that could easily happen, you know. But that person that took the money is definitely not the person or the brains behind all this. I think with that, I feel like this video is probably already way too long, but there's just so much to talk about with this episode, so much to theorize about. Let's continue the conversation in the comments. Anything I missed, I feel like I did miss out on some stuff. Let me know down in the comments. Any theories you guys got, anything that I didn't say, let me know down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please like this video if you guys end up enjoying it. Like always, please make sure to subscribe for new. Have a great rest of the day, and I will see you all in the next video.